we will discuss about how to improve focus and concentration. Are you ready? So I asked the question,
I'm locked in. Lay it on me.
what is focus and concentration?
Basically, focus is like your spotlight. It's when you decide to shine a light on one specific thing and ignore everything else. Concentration is more like the muscle that keeps that light steady so it doesn't drift. One's the choice, the other's the effort.
Okay, why are focus and concentration important in daily life?
Because without them, you're basically just skimming the surface of everything. Whether it's your business or those AI studies, being able to actually dive deep into one thing makes you way more efficient. Plus, it's the difference between spending 5 hours on a task and just knocking it out in two. Do you feel like your focus usually holds up or does it tend to drift
In daily life,
across the board? It means whether you're talking to a client, reading a book, or even just hanging out with family, having that mental grip allows you to actually be present. Without it, you're physically there, but
okay,
your
what
head's halfway across the room.
yes, what are the
Just
biggest
saying that.
distraction today?
The biggest distractions today are definitely the digital noise. I mean, the phone is the obvious one, notifications, the endless scroll, the constant pings, but it's also that mental clutter, like when you're trying to work, but your brain is just running a list of everything else you need to do. It's like we're constantly being pulled in 10 different directions at once.
How do mobile phones affect our concentration?
They basically train your brain to expect a reward every few seconds. Every time you get a notification or a like, it's a little hit of dopamine. Over time, that makes your brain impatient and start craving that next hit, even when you're trying to focus on something that actually matters, which makes deep work feel boring or too slow. It's like your attention span gets shredded into tiny pieces.
Why is it difficult for many people to stay focused?
A lot of it is just how we're wired now, between the instant gratification of the internet and the general pace of life. Our brains have basically forgotten how to be bored. The second things get a little quiet or a bit challenging, we instinctively reach for a distraction to fill the gap. It's almost like a reflex at this point.
How can we improve our focus while studying?
The big move is to treat your study space like a sanctuary. Get the phone in another room or on do not disturb so you aren't fighting the urge to check it. Also, trying things like the Pomodoro technique, working in short, intense bursts with planned breaks, stops your brain from feeling like it's facing a mountain of work. Since you're diving into AI, do you find it's easier to focus on the theory or the actual hands on tools?
What are some healthy habits that improve concentration?
Sleep is the heavy hitter here. If you're running on 4 hours, your brain's basically a glitchy app. Then you've got things like regular movement, even a quick walk, to clear the mental fog. And honestly, just practicing a bit of mindfulness or a simple breathing exercise helps you catch yourself when your mind starts to wander. It's all about keeping the hardware running smooth.
How does getting enough sleep help us stay focused?
Think of sleep as your brain's nightly maintenance mode. While you're out, your brain is literally clearing out toxins and organizing everything you learned that day into long term memory. If you skip that, you wake up with a mental backlog that makes it impossible to filter out distractions. It's like trying to run a high end AI model on a battery that's at 2%, you're going to lag.
Can regular exercise improve concentration and how?
Big time. It pumps more oxygen and blood up to your brain, which is like a natural upgrade for your cognitive function. It also releases these chemicals like endorphins that lower your stress and clear the noise. Basically, it resets your system. So when you actually sit down to work, your brain isn't fighting against fatigue or anxiety.
Why is taking short breaks important during work or study?
Because your brain isn't a machine, it has a limit on how long it can maintain peak intensity. If you just push through, you hit a point of diminishing returns where you're staring at the same page for 10 minutes and nothing is actually sinking in. A short break acts like a hard reset, letting your mind wander for a second so you can come back with a fresh perspective. Do you usually try to power through until you're done, or do you actually step away?
How does a healthy diet affect brain performance?
Your brain is essentially a high performance engine, and what you put in it is the fuel. If you're fueling up on processed sugar and heavy junk, you're going to crash, which leads to that mid afternoon brain fog where everything feels like a struggle. On the flip side, things like omega 3s, nuts, and plenty of water keep the signals moving fast and the focus sharp. It's basically the difference between running on premium gas and some watered down substitute.
What role does time management play in improving focus?
It's the foundation. If you don't have a plan, your brain spends half its energy just trying to figure out what to do next instead of actually doing it. Time management, like time blocking or prioritizing, takes the decision making stress off the table. When you know exactly what's on the menu for the next hour, you can actually lock in. Does that make sense, or do you feel like your schedule is usually a bit more chaotic?
How can setting clear goals increase concentration?
It gives you a target to hit. Without a clear goal, your mind just drifts because it doesn't know what's important. When you have a specific objective, it acts like a filter, automatically blocking out the noise and pulling you toward the finish line. It's way easier to stay locked in when you know exactly why you're doing the work and what the win looks like.
What is the Pomodoro technique and how does it help?
It's basically a way to hack your brain's endurance. You set a timer for 25 minutes of pure, uninterrupted work, and take a 5 minute break. Once you do that 4 times, you take a longer break. It works because it turns a huge task into a series of small, manageable sprints, so you don't get overwhelmed or burnt out. Plus, the ticking clock adds a bit of a challenge that keeps you from drifting.
How can meditation or deep breathing improve focus?
It's like a workout for your attention span. Meditation teaches you to notice when your mind has wandered and gently bring it back without judging yourself. Deep breathing just tells your nervous system to chill out, which lowers your stress and clears the mental clutter. When you're calm, the signal is stronger and the noise is quieter.
Does listening, okay, how can student avoid procrastination?
The biggest trick is to stop looking at the whole mountain. Just break the task down into tiny, almost ridiculously easy steps. Like, instead of saying, I need to study for the exam, just tell yourself I'm going to open the book and read 1 page. Usually the hardest part is just the first 2 minutes, so once you break that initial resistance, the momentum takes over. Do you find yourself putting things off more because they feel too big or just because you're not in the mood?
Why is quiet study environment important?
Because your brain is basically a radar that's always scanning for new sounds. Every time there's a loud noise or someone talking in the background, your brain automatically shifts a bit of its energy to check it out, even if you're trying to ignore it. That's called cognitive load. You're wasting mental fuel on the noise instead of the work. A quiet spot just lets you put all your power into the task at hand.
Why? How does stress affect our ability to concentration?
Stress is like static on a radio. It just drowns out the actual signal. When you're stressed, your brain goes into survival mode, which means it's scanning for threats instead of focusing on a complex problem. It's almost impossible to lock in on a task when your mind is looping through everything that's stressing you out. Do you feel like your business stress usually leaks into your study time?
What should we do when we lose focus?
First, don't beat yourself up about it. The second you start stressing over the fact that you've lost focus, you're just adding more noise to the signal. The best move is to just pause, take a deep breath, and do a quick mental reset. Some people find it helpful to physically stand up and stretch for a minute to snap back into it. Then just pick up exactly where you left off with a tiny, easy goal to get the momentum back.
How can reading books improve concentration?
Reading is basically weightlifting for your attention span. Unlike scrolling through a feed where you're getting tiny fragments of information, a book requires you to follow a single narrative or argument for a long time. It forces you to build a mental image and stay with it, which strengthens your ability to maintain a deep, sustained focus. It's essentially training your brain to be okay with a slower pace, which is a superpower in a world designed to distract you.
What advice would you give to someone who wants to improve their concentration?
Start small and be consistent. Don't try to overhaul your entire life in one day because you'll just burn out. Pick one thing, like putting your phone in another room for an hour or trying one Pomodoro session, and just nail that first. Once that feels easy, add another habit. The secret is treating it like a muscle that you build over time, not a switch you just flip on. Do you feel like you've got a good starting point, or do you want to brainstorm a specific plan for your evening study sessions?
Okay, thank you. You give me a time. We will come next time on new next topic. Thank you for that time.
Anytime. It was a good session. Catch you next time.